It is, according to the chronometer up there, it looks like it is 9:30. Good morning. Should we wait a few minutes for Julie? She said she was coming.
She texted me, yes, that she was coming today, so.
Need to move on?
I would agree, move on, and we've got business beforehand anyway with the minutes and
That's
stuff.
good. All right. Then let's consider ourselves called to order. First item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from October 21st. Everyone had a chance to review. Any motions to approve?
Yeah, and I'll second.
Any further discussion? We have a motion to approve, a second. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Very good.
Just a note, it's a special called meeting. Can we rearrange the order and maybe do number 4 next?
That's my suggestion also.
Yeah, you can change the order, you just can't add to.
Okay, if you would like to give us a report on the 4th Street sign.
Yes, certainly. Let me pull that up here. Yeah, it was a basic sign application. Let me get to the right one. It's, if you all remember where the old Grace Cafe sign was?
Yes.
Down in front of that, that's exactly it. She's just putting a new placard on the already existing sign. So, we staff approved that. Yes, it is. Can you hear me, sir? Yeah, ma'am. Okay.
He forgot his hearing aids this morning, so you have to speak up a little.
Okay, basically, it was where the old Grace Cafe sign was out in front of 219 South 4th. And I approved a new faceplate for that sign. That's all that was, pretty boilerplate. It's allowed in the district and within the size limits, so I staff approved that.
Sounds like somebody's running the margarita machine.
I know, I'm gonna shut, I was trying to get you, but I'm not good at sign.
You-
It's okay. You just look at it.
Oh, he said yes. He's on his way.
Okay. So if you all have any questions, I'll be happy to answer about that, but it's pretty boilerplate, staff approval for that. Generally, if it's allowed within the district, if it's the appropriate type within our design guidelines and it's within the size guidelines, that's pretty much it. So that was that on that, and I understand Mr. Dexter's on his way, so.
Okay. If the rest of the, should we go ahead even without Mr. Dexter and go to item number 5, the Public Art Moratorium, or would we be better off with Mr. Dexter?
Well, we still need to do the,
They're going to rearrange, they want to rearrange the, you want to wait on Stephen?
are you wanting to wait for Stephen for the public art or for the ramp?
Well, my question is, do we need Stephen for the public art?
That would probably be helpful to have him part of that
Okay,
conversation.
so we're basically our 2 items that really I would prefer to have the city attorney here.
Okay, well, we can pause if you want, he's on his way.
Okay.
I don't know what that means.
My apologies to the audience.
If you wanted to, I will happily just update you very quickly on where we're at with the public art so that everybody's aware as we start to move on. As you know, we met last year and had a vigorous discussion between the City Commission and you folks about what DAHB's role would be and what the design guidelines were. We had a public meeting. We got some really good feedback out of that, and then COVID hit, and it just kind of put everything into the drink. As it stands right now, we would need to have some further discussion on what our design guidelines would be. And basically, as I've kind of indicated to you, according to the national parks, we really only want to worry about placement, how it's going to affect the building, things of that nature. That is what your all's charter is through the National Park Service, and then through the Kentucky Heritage Council as a certified local government. The aim is to get you folks out of the design business. And so that's what the new standards will address. We do have to go through the process of redoing our design guidelines. That's kind of where the holdup is. If a piece of public art comes up in front of you, then you're kind of bound by the current design guidelines. And that's where I really need Mr. Dexter to discuss that with you, because there is going to have to be some type of motion or advisement coming from you all into the City Commission. And that's kind of where it's at, so that we have time to get our design guidelines where they need to be. Oh, and he's just in time. Perfect timing.
Stephen, we have you right there.
So, and that's kind of just a small briefing as to where we're at in the process. And then I think that there was some discussion with Mr. Dexter on this not too long ago in a meeting last week. So I'll let him talk with you about the Public Art Moratorium.
Sure. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
The city recently, in conducting its downtown master plan, decided to institute a moratorium on new construction building permits until that plan was finalized. It did so at the recommendation of its consultant on the project by saying any future new construction during this small window of time could impede the implementation of a new strategic plan. So it's a temporary moratorium until the plan was adopted by the city commission. I don't remember the duration. I think we maybe gave it a 9 or 12-month window, or the acceptance of the report, whichever came sooner. And in this situation, when you're looking at kind of a massive reworking of public art or the city's approach to it, or your recommendation for the city's approach to it, it may behoove the process if you recommend a similar type of moratorium on public art until these matters are resolved. We know there are a lot of issues surrounding public art that you are trying to get your head around and make a recommendation to resolve. And between now and then, there may be a project or proposal that could come in and potentially be against what you are trying to correct and implement. That's why you would use a moratorium if you think it's necessary to protecting the process of what you're trying to accomplish. So the process would be today, not that you institute a moratorium, but that you recommend that the city commission approve a moratorium on public art at this time.
And just so I know, more or less, what are we looking at it on our time frame to get everything done?
Well, it would be both. There's a process. If we were changing the design guidelines, it takes some time.
I mean, but are we looking at 6 to 12 months, especially with COVID?
Yes, I would think that's probably a safe recommendation. We do
If we
have.
just adopted the city's same timeline as to the downtown building permit, how long's that timeline, Stephen?
Yeah, and I think that's, and for the sake of of efficiency and not having to come back and extend it, I would recommend using a 12-month moratorium.
Okay.
With a caveat that if the plans or the policy is revised prior to that, that it end at that time. So whichever occurs sooner.
Mr. Chairman, why would we want to penalize somebody who comes to this community and want to construct a new building that could potentially create a lot of jobs? Why would we do that? I mean, to me, that's not reasonable.
Sure.
And,
Well, Mayor, it's in a limited scope, first of all.
you're talking about 12 months?
Well, it's in a limited scope for the downtown historic area.
I understand.
So we're talking about first of all, very limited sites that it could be applicable to.
Is that, excuse me for interrupting, is that any new construction? Would that be new construction attached to another building?
No, it does not include remodels or things of that nature.
Theoretically speaking, if somebody owned a building and they wanted to expand that building with new construction, that would be exempt? Is that what you're saying?
I think it would depend on the circumstance. If it was an add-on that was not substantial, I think that would be probably acceptable. I think what would not be acceptable is if you owned a vacant lot and you were going to build a new structure. The city is saying, we have a new strategic downtown plan the city has spent considerable resources in strategic planning for vacant lots.
I guess my question to you, being the city attorney, is, being down here before, why would it take 12 months for a city commission to make that decision? Why should not they put that in the fast lane and get a decision made quicker? Is there a reason why 12 months?
The 12 months was simply a backstop. It's the hope that it be implemented quite sooner than that. But there are a lot, and very well may be the beginning of the year. I think the plan, in fact, was just revealed to the city commission in a special workshop that was certainly within the last couple weeks, possibly, or maybe month.
A couple months. I think it was in September.
Okay, well, it's been longer than I thought then. In September, they digested it at a recent workshop too. So what we're talking about, a massive wholesale change in strategic downtown planning it's voluminous. And in order to get the type of change that I think the city is looking for in its plan, it's necessary to put a pause on certain new construction. So this wouldn't renovate or bother any of the renovations at the Hub building, for instance, on the 3rd floor, or anything that's going on.
Does that include the new fire station, which is a new building?
No, it does not.
So the city exempts themselves, but penalizes to some degree the private sector. Is that what you're saying?
Well, Mayor, let me say this, and I think this should end our topic on it tonight, because this isn't really the proper venue to discuss
I was
it.
gonna say, we're kind of outside,
We're
out in the
off
weeds
topic.
to this normal meeting.
But I'll answer your question for your benefit, out of respect for you, and that is that Public Works, or the firehouse has been strategically planned into the consultant's work. That property was acquired, it's been planned for, and in the strategic plan, the consultant has identified that as the city's new central fire station. So it is not in any type of contravention to the implementation of the strategic plan.
So if I had a consultant that I've been consulting with for the last year, and I've had a plan, but the actual construction hadn't started, I would be denied that permit. Is that what you're saying?
No new building permits will be issued by the city of Danville until the strategic plan is implemented, or if there's been an expiration of 12 months from the date of the moratorium, which is probably 3 months old at this time anyhow.
And on that note, I'd like to say I like the idea of a moratorium on art as we try to deal through this, and I say yes, we make a recommendation.
Would someone like to verbalize a motion that we do that for a 12-month moratorium?
Yeah,
I
I'll
think
do
she
that.
just did.
So I think I'm recommending we ask the city commission for a 12-month moratorium or the implementation of our new guidelines on public art in our historic district,
Whichever comes first.
whichever comes first.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Have a second? Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
No.
And one negative.
One negative.
Yes, sir. Duly noted.
I'm no.
All right. I think we're ready now to move on, and my apologies to the 2nd Street Christian Church. Sir, if you would like to, I assume you're representing the second, you're the only person left in here, so.
If you'll go to the podium, please.
Good morning.
If you will let us know who you are for the record, sir, and then,
I'm Pastor Dennis Miller of the 2nd Street Christian Church.
good to see you and glad to have you here this morning, sir.
Good morning. Thank you for having me here and being patient with me. Got a letter from the council that was out of compliance on the handicap ramp. And when we got the approval to do the ramp, and I failed to read the fine print, that we had a year to get it done. So we've been 3 years trying to get this ramp in. And I apologize for that not reading the letter like, I'll take full responsibility. I won't put it on the church. I'll take full responsibility. So we start the work, and one reason they say we're out of compliance is because we changed the design of the ramp. And the reason why, because of safety issue. Design was to come off the front, go to the side, and go behind the marquee, and go down toward the street. But I forgot looking at, we got the gas meter on the side of the church, and plus the air conditioning, plus the marquee would have to be moved anyway if we went behind it, because we're gonna run into that big tree right there. So, come to the conclusion, we better off to just make a straight shot, just come off the porch and just make a straight shot, be a whole lot easier, be a whole lot safer. I got looking at too, because people in wheelchairs would come up, have to make that turn and go into church. And also got looking at, we have funeral, we bring the casket out, we wouldn't have enough room to come out and turn the casket to go down the ramp, the other way. So this way it'd be a whole lot safer, and it'd be a straight ramp, no twisted turns in it. And again, I apologize for not getting with the committee, because I went back and found the letter. It was improved August the 16th, year of 2017, 3 years ago. And it said,
What is, for what is there now, what is in your mind for it to look like in the end? What is the final design for what is started right now?
the final design is, like I said, it's a straight shot. It's gonna tape off at the end, but it can be, wheelchairs can get on the ramp, a lot easier. One little turn and go up, up the ramp. I got some pictures. I can give Johnny House some pictures. I didn't know if she'd show y'all or not, but I got some on the phone to pass around and look at them, what's there now.
Well, and I'm specifically thinking of the finish, because right now it's just poured concrete.
Yeah.
Are you gonna make it, were you planning on making it look like the church?
We'll go, I got the picture of the rail, handrails gonna use. And the outside, we're gonna stucco it, get the approval, or we're gonna use this stone to put on the side. That's pretty close to the stone to what's on the church now. It's gonna be on the side of the ramp. If we decide that either we're gonna stucco it or use the stone. But I'm trying to convince my people, I'd rather have stone. I think we'll match, pretty close to stone what's on the church now. That's what I'm recommending. But I'd rather have the stone. And some want stucco, some want stone, but I'm more convinced to go with the stone. It'll be on the side of the ramp. And, that's the picture of the hand. Oh, excuse me.
Right. You all have the pictures of what the church looks like now.
Mhm.
That's there. And certainly the voussoir stone on the front would be recommended by me in the end, if you all decide to
That
approve
would
it.
tend to match the existing foundation that's there now.
It would make
Let
it
me be
less,
honest, we would never approve stucco on that, because
Okay,
it
that's
is
what I-
completely different from the design of the church.
Thank you.
right.
That's all I
We'll
need.
back you up on that,
Okay,
okay? So
thank
you
you.
can, we got you back on that one.
Okay, thank you.
And we're gonna stand on our head to work with you and try to get this thing moving along, okay?
Okay.
I guess I want you to understand that we have our guidelines here. I brought them,
I
so I
know.
have them right in front of me. And you managed to break a lot of them. And so we need to try to bring that back in alignment. Originally, when you came in, I think actually for 2017, you're looking at a lot of the same faces,
Yeah.
which is convenient, because it means we've got some memory of it. And we had agreed to let you put it in the front of the building, under those guidelines. As I recall, because of the ability to enter through the front of the church into the, I just blanked on the word, the worship space,
Thank you.
instead of having to come in through the back door. And that's correct, I remember that correctly?
Yes, because the back door, we got a ramp on the back door, but that was done before I became pastor. Because the last pastor, he was diabetic and had to take one of his legs off, and they made that ramp. I think before the church got rested on the Heritage Board. And that ramp is getting pretty bad shape, and in the future, with the board approval, we'd like to either do away with that ramp and put it back where it used to be. You got a step there, or maybe redo that ramp. The reason I don't want that ramp there because I don't want traffic coming across the pool pit.
Right.
So I must not have been here at the meeting. What did they do wrong?
Well, so originally we had approved now this again, I'm going back in my mind. We had approved it was gonna wrap around, but it was also not gonna be of concrete, it was gonna be of metal. A lot like what the First Baptist Church has. In fact, I think that might have been what it was. The First Baptist Church put in theirs, and you all looked at it and said, hey, that's really nice, we could do that. And so that's what I recall. And so what they have now is they changed the design so it comes out into the front of the yard, and it's concrete, which is not really an easy-to-remove substance, which is the other thing, it's already there, so.
And it's a lot of concrete.
And it's a lot of concrete. And I do understand completely the safety issue with all your stuff on the side. So we're looking for ideas.
Well, what is wrong with, if he puts the stone on there?
Well, I can answer that for you.
All right.
We do have a set of design guidelines that specifically address the placement of the ramp, how the ramp projects into the yard, how it's visible, how it should be absolutely removable. And it does not meet any of those design guidelines as they are set and approved by us, and that is what our operating basis is. So when you ask me what's wrong with it, if you look at the design guidelines, you can pretty much go chapter and verse and see what the problems are. And I believe I did include that too in the packet to let you know what it is that the issues are. Now, saying that ramp is there. It is extremely large. It would possibly do damage to the building to take that porch loose. So now we're stuck with a situation is what is the best remedy here?
Okay.
And, the best remedy for me and my recommendation to you all would be to approve that ramp with the cladding on it so that it matches the existing structure. Unfortunately, if we were able to get in front of this, we could have worked with it a little bit better, but we weren't. Hopefully those issues have been addressed so that we won't have this issue in the future with folks.
And it would impose a severe hardship on the church to have to
It
rip
would,
that
and-
out,
and
the
my-
expense, and to go back and completely redo
And
it.
my concern is, as I look at how that structure's put into the church and the way the front porch has been altered and things, I'm not sure that it wouldn't do more damage to the building, taking it down. So, as a preservationist, I always want to err on the side of caution and make sure that we don't do damage to the structure, because that is our guiding principles, not to do damage. So it would concern me, and I've been over and looked at it a couple times now, went back the other day and looked at it and really looked at how the porch was put together. It would concern me a little bit that we might end up doing some damage if we force that being taken off, and that's certainly not the intent. That building is on the National Historic Register. I gave that to you in your package. It has the National Historic Register number, so you have a very cool building, sir. And please, you have my number, call me. I'm happy to come and talk with you and work these things out.
And I just want to add, because we've said this in the past, generally cost is not considered as part of the argument.
Yes.
Just because.
Duly noted.
And I'm sorry, could you tell me, what are your railings going to look like?
I got a picture right here. Let you look
Please,
at.
do you mind passing it around? Thank you. Oh, okay. I recognize those railings.
Oh, okay.
The railing, he's showing a picture of the community art, the.
Right, we
wood
had talked about
poster.
that. I told him just bring pictures with him.
Yeah,
I think
great.
that's an appropriate railing for
Yes.
that. It doesn't visually impact anything. It's more than appropriate for it.
It would be a very good match.
Yeah, okay. I'm willing to make a motion, but I'm gonna want some assistance in making this motion. I'm looking at both of y'all.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Dana?
For me, you've heard my position on, I do not know how to legally word that for you all, because we are essentially going against our guidelines to approve it. So that's where I would turn to you, sir, and give us a good legal.
And let me tell you my reasoning on that, so if it helps give you what I'm thinking. I am saying that we approve the COA with requirement of they must use the stone cladding, and that note be made that this is we are doing this as the best option and not because it's the right thing. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right, make that sound legal.
Okay.
And will you also add in the railings?
Yes,
Yes.
please, and the
I
railing,
was going to mention that,
As
thank you.
shown by the photos, and we can put those in the
Right.
notes.
Okay, I think your motion should go something along these lines. Despite non-compliance with the city's existing design guidelines pertaining to installation of handicap ramps, the removal of the existing work and the removal of the existing work's likelihood causing severe or substantial damage to the historic structure, I hereby move that we approve it in its existing format despite said irregularities, so long as the cladding is of stone and the railings are of the design presented today.
That sounds lovely.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Don't-
You're welcome.
Am I going to have to repeat that, or can I?
No, you can just say so
What he
moved.
said.
So moved. Okay, so that's my.
As long as, Bridget, do you have that in the record?
She's taking.
Or Dana does,
I'm
okay.
trying to write them down too, but she's taking.
Sure.
I have
And
a
I'll be happy
motion.
to look at your minutes prior to the next meeting to make sure they.
We have a
see-
motion before the board. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Mr. Fry. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. None opposed. Very good, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. But in the future, I'll make sure our contacts.
And I am looking forward to seeing the stone on that side. I think
Okay.
it'll look lovely. Hey, and throw in some pretty landscaping over the backside.
You're starting to sound like John Bowles.
I know, exactly. Like,
He's in
could you just
charge
put
of
a couple
flowers,
benches-
gee.
Just, some bushes or something back there.
I think that's an appropriate statement.
Who's your, just a curiosity, and I've seen them working there a couple of times. Has it been the same contractor, multiple contractors?
No, same contract.
Who's your contractor there?
Freddie York. I think he worked for the state one time, and reason why we got Freddie, because like I said, we've trying to find somebody for 3 years to get this done. We had 2 people that promised us, I wait on one man for 2.5 years. And Deacon O'Neath, he come in, he worked at Advance Auto. Freddie come in, they got talking about it.
Yes.
That's where I helped you all out, so we just jumped on it. And then they went back about the, the compliance and stuff. Like I said, I'll take full responsibility in the future. I'll make sure that won't happen no more.
Very good, thank you, sir. Appreciate
Now, one more thing, do we gotta wait on the letter to, do it been certified, go ahead and finish it, or?
I can drop that off at the church today for you. Will
Okay.
you be out there, or do you want me to just email it to you? I
Or
can-
just put it in the mailbox,
It'll be there today, sir.
okay, that way they won't finish it up,
Yeah.
it gets cold,
No problem.
and I.
And with our schedules and such, our apologies for making you wait a few days. It just took us a while to get all on the same building.
I'll take some responsibility, because if I knew from get-go, I could've come before we started. But we started back in May, I apologize.
COVID has interrupted everybody
Oh,
trying to get things.
When I went through my, fire out the found bids,
And since this is a
I could do this before we got started.
You're right.
special call meeting, nothing else can be added. I do have a question, COVID notwithstanding. Do we still anticipate the same schedule next year, third Wednesday at 9:30?
That is up to you all to vote on. I mean, it's up to this board as to when you set your meeting time, so if you
I'd just like
want
to start, because very possibly we will not have a December meeting, and it would be nice to start penciling in some of our schedules.
Well, we will keep the same time unless you as a board vote to change it.
I'm fine. This is a fine time.
Same
for me.
time, same place, same date, third Wednesdays next year?
It's been the same one we've had for years, but it's, if you want to change it,
Well, he moved it
it's.
to 9:30, so it'd fit his coffee schedule, and then
I
after,
moved to 9:30. If it worked for me, it'd be 8 o'clock.
You can take that up with
Thank
your
you,
fellow
sir.
board members, Mayor.
okay.
Stephen, you did a fine job.
So we need a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, sir.
Do I have a motion to adjourn before we lose control? Motion to adjourn, second from Mr. Fry. All in favor, aye.